being in touch with our sexual self is rarely seen as an act of self-care.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Sex, Love and Energy. This is MJ, and today I have another amazing guest for you guys, and I'm with a pleasure to have Eleni. She's from New York, so I'm super excited. I'm having international guests in the podcast. For me, it really inspired me to keep going and also to bring more insight to the audience. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I live in New York, but I'm originally from Greece, so it's even more international than initially thought.
So exciting. I love Europe though. Oh, that's it. Your energy. I can tell. It's coming from something more warmer. Oh, I have never been to Greece though. I have to go.
It's a place to visit for sure.
Well, before I start, I have to ask you, what is the things that makes you feel passionate about it, that keeps you alive?
What are the things that make me feel passionate in life? Oh, that's a big question, MJ.
Why?
My work is one of them. It's sort of like a constant source of energy and focus and excitement. My children is another.
Beautiful.
So, yes, they always keep me on my toes. I keep having to change and evolve and grow because they change. I don't know what else. Passion. So many small things and bigger things. I love traveling. Just friendship is very important to me. Love hanging out with my gals. Whenever I get a chance, I recharge when I meet with my girlfriends.
You say family, you work, and then friendship, love. Love makes you feel passionate about it. And then I think it does living. But I want to stop into your work. What exactly do you do so we can tell to the audience? What is the things? Because I know, guys, but sometimes I like when you share your own experience because it comes up in a different way. So that's why I do it. Yes.
So I'm Eleni Economides, and I'm a sexual wellness and intimacy coach for women with low libido. And I'm also a certified sex therapist and a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of New York. So I have two sort of practices. One is my therapy practice and one is my coaching practice. In the therapy practice, I see couples and individuals for relationship and sex counseling for the past 11 years. And as a sexuality and intimacy coach for women, I've been developing my program for the past 3 years, where I keep honing my tools and skills to help them remove obstacles to their sexual desire and creating a sex life that they enjoy.
That's amazing. And actually, that's the reason why I'm so excited, guys. I have to tell you, for me, having a sex therapist in the podcast is mean a lot because you know the clinical side about sexual wellness. But today, actually, we're going to be talking about more the female libido, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the problem was when we had the conversation a few days ago when we met, how women put aside the pleasure and the desire because they just postpone when become a mother or when they are in the motherhood.
Well, women don't just postpone their pleasure and desire when they become mothers. It starts way before that.
Okay.
It starts way before that. Our upbringing is such that we are just encouraged to suppress our sexuality and to not see sex as something that is for our own satisfaction. But definitely when we enter, motherhood, then there is so many more reasons to not see ourselves as a sexual woman, as a sexual person, as a sexual being, because now our focus is motherhood, right? So things shift even more. But for a lot of women, this is an issue that starts way before motherhood.
I'm curious about when you say start before to become a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Might be signals that women suppress. I think they might feel like they never looking after themselves in that area, and then they become a mother, kind of, is my perception, to validate themselves as a woman. What do you think about that? Because some women, they don't want to own being a sexual woman because it brings a lot of taboo and stigma.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more, when it comes to like in the social area, become a mother is very validated. You know, it's expected to become a mother, but it's not expected to be a sexual woman.
I think you're talking about, the societal expectations from a woman, right? That the role, or you're sort of raised to become a good caretaker, and motherhood is one of those things that, we're sort of like expected to do and to want to do. And if a woman, that's a little bit of a different angle there. If a woman is not interested in becoming a mother, that is frowned upon, right? There is a lot of judgment toward women that do not want to be mothers. But also, when they become mothers, that's certainly sort of like, it's almost like now my life is complete, right? And now I achieved the goal that, I was made to fulfill. Then our focus goes to just taking care of our children, right? And sex or being in touch with our sexual self is rarely seen as an act of self-care, all right? And it is, but women don't learn that nurturing their sexual desire, nurturing the sexual pleasure and their sexual satisfaction is an act of self-care. So
I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you say we don't nourish in that area of our life to be sexual, and that's for me is a very painful point, because I see that around all the women around me and even myself and the way I grow up. So I feel very personal. I think it's like when boys, they touch themselves, it's like they're always going to be boys. But if women, we do that, it's like, how you going to touch yourself? And for me, that idea, it kind of breaks a little bit. It creates this gap, which I think it makes bigger problems when for women to own it, I guess, the sexual side of themselves.
Yeah, you said it very, very well, right? That's what I was talking about, that it starts very early, right? Boys have a different sort of, they're allowed to be sexual, they're seen as sexual, they're seen as boys if they're interested in girls and in sex or touching themselves. But it's the same is not true for women. Usually there's a lot of shame associated with, masturbation, and there's a lot of... Now, of course, I'm talking about, I'm overgeneralizing. It's not like that for everyone and every woman, thank goodness. But at least for the women that I work with, right, the ones that end up struggling with low libido, history shows that they have learned that sex is something that you do to please your partner. This is what a man wants from you in order to love you and validate you and show you affection, right? So you have it for him. You do it for him. And then women are just disconnected from their own pleasure. They rarely explore what they like or speak up about it, right? Because they're like, well, I'm doing this for him, right? I don't even want to take up any time or space and focus on me. There's a lot of guilt associated with that. Like, if we focus on me, somehow there's a lot of anxiety, right? I don't want to do that because this is for him. So in that aspect, we are disconnected from our own body, from our own pleasure and our own desire. And then we are kind of expected, right? Like, sort of like, you're not a sexual person. before marriage, and then after marriage, you are supposed to be a sexual goddess.
Yeah, you were explaining that some women feel disconnected from the sexual areas because it's very deeper than comes from early age. And then we carry on all these beliefs that male, they can pleasure themselves, and then us, we are not able to do it because we carry on all this shame.
We are discouraged. We're discouraged, whether it's directly or indirectly, that there is this kind of like somehow, your character is up for question if you are interested in exploring your body. Somehow you might be, unethical. It might be something is, you're doing something wrong, something dirty, is a sin. It depends if you add the layer of religion there, right? Topic is a lot more complicated for women because of this, being raised in a patriarchal society, right? It sort of like instills beliefs in us about sex that are not helpful with our desire.
Then when you were talking about women who feel low libido, I've been reading a lot of articles. Actually, they justify in as a medical condition when they have low libido, which in my part, maybe you are the professional here. I will share my personal opinion. I believe that there might be some clinical conditions, but I think there is a big part of beliefs systems. Being owners of our own libido or express that to feel, I think it takes a lot for us as a woman, like mind, body at the same time. It's not like a male. They more like, can I say this word? Like carnal, maybe more, they have more instinct instead of like women. We need that emotional connection.
Yeah. That's also societally programmed, right? We are raised to think that the only good reason to have sex is love, right? If you love someone, or if someone loves you, then that's the right time to have sex, right? If you have it just for your sexual pleasure, you might be a slut. If you have it just because you want to, like, enjoy yourself and have fun, you might be cheap or shallow. Right? If love is not associated with why you're having sex for a woman, it carries a lot of heaviness and a lot of shame and guilt because it's frowned upon societally speaking.
Absolutely. And I believe that you just say, if you're male, in my country we say, if a male have many girlfriends, he's an alpha. But if a woman has many males, she's a slut. And that is society expectation. And it's very unfortunate. And makes me very sad that we're still in 2025 and we are not able as a women to remove, because it's a lot of like shame. I think it comes to like from shame. I don't know if it might be wrong. All these ideas that we even say, I need that emotional connection to have intimacy, but actually you might just feel horny and you want to release. Why not? If the quality of sexual desire between females and males, I think it should be equal, but we are still in that taboo. And I think so many women, they don't know how to own themselves, but they know deep inside them, they want it to be a little bit more free. What would be your advice for them?
Well, the major concern here is like fear of judgment, right? So they're afraid how they're going to be judged, even sometimes from their partner, right? If they ask their partner for what they want, or if they have a fantasy that they want to explore, or if they have a kink that they haven't ever spoken about. So the main reason for a lot of people, not just women, but definitely if it happens to a woman, there is an extra layer of like fear of judgment and fear of rejection, right? If I express this desire, then I'm going to be judged and I'm going to be rejected. And so we sort of like shield ourselves from the judgment by not speaking up. I mean, sometimes it is a matter of the partner, but hopefully you have a partner who's not going to do that. Because a lot of times our partners are very open and they're very willing, but we still struggle to speak up about what we want, to even admit to ourselves what we like, right? So then that's a matter of sort of you developing the courage and deciding that your pleasure is important enough that you need to speak up about it. And if you have a partner that you can trust will not shame you for it, then you just need to find the courage. Sometimes male partners will sort of judge. Right? So it feels like it's not safe to speak up about it, and it's not kind of, so it could be a matter of like, this is not safe because I know my partner is going to shut it down and judge me, versus even though my partner is a safe person, I still feel like fear and I'm scared and I have shame. So in this case, you need to sort of like work on developing the courage, whether it's with reading a book or two, or talking to someone, whether it's a therapist or a coach, to learn how to have these conversations with a partner so that you can enjoy intimacy and sexual pleasure.
Yeah, developing that courage and the confidence to speak up, I guess.
Confidence, that's right.
You desires, because being me, for my personal MJ, I'm telling you now, audience, if your partner doesn't support you in your sexual, maybe you need to think about it. Maybe you need to reflect if you are sharing the same values, because I think a balanced relationship is the one you're able to express yourself honestly and transparent. So if the sexual or the intimacy hasn't been, you haven't been able to tap into that area, and then maybe to share what you really want to, because at the end of the day, we are humans, we evolve time to time. You might need to reflect into what are you doing in that relationship, or if that relationship is nourishing you.
I agree. Yeah.
I want to talk about a little bit more this idea of how intimacy should be for women versus for men. When it comes to, for example, orgasm. When it comes to orgasm, in the male perspective, some women can have orgasm through just penetration. However, the studies say that it's a very low percentage of women that reach orgasms in that way. So what will be your professional opinion in this aspect? I want to hear it because obviously you have more knowledge than me.
We can do this again another time too, to finish, to touch on different topics.
Absolutely.
Yes. So you are right? There is the percentage of women that can climax with just penis and vagina penetration without stimulating the clitoris it's like a 10%, right? So for a woman
10%. I'm going to emphasize only 10%.
10%. And some women are built like that for different reasons that we can't get into right now. We don't have time. But there is a misconception, I guess it's lack of accurate sex education. Okay. Lack of accurate and sufficient sex education for both men and women. Because at school, they don't talk about pleasure and how to sexual pleasure, and it's mostly about STD prevention and pregnancy prevention. So they don't really learn. Kids and adults don't learn about sex in a way that helps them enjoy it more. So yes, for the majority of women, clitoral stimulation is necessary, whether it is with a finger, with a vibrator. So it's not a matter of competition. Don't compete with your partner's vibrator. She needs that in order to climax, in order to enjoy herself much like her male partner does. She definitely needs more warm-up, right?
Warm-up, foreplay, right? We need to warm up slowly, gradually, until we get into the point. We need Yes. Men have a lot more arousal and desire available in their body, right? They have higher testosterone levels. Their body is made in that way where they wake up with a hard-on. They don't need to really work for their arousal to develop. It's more easily accessible. But for women, sexual desire shows up after arousal happens. One way to achieve arousal is foreplay, right? Cuddling, kissing, making out,
starting to touch genitals, oral sex. For different people, foreplay looks differently, but that is a very important part of a woman's desire showing up. She has to become aroused first before she feels, okay, now I want to have sex. And sometimes the foreplay is in the form of like mental stimulation, emotional stimulation. We're not just talking about the ways you touch her body, but you also have to be touching her mind. And right.
The unpack is important.
Yes. For a lot of women, washing the dishes or vacuuming or taking care of the kids is foreplay. That's what makes her turned on, because she feels loved and cared for and she thinks it's sexy. So when you do that, it counts like foreplay for her. So certainly foreplay is very important for women. It takes a longer time for us to warm up and get to the point. Generally speaking, there are some women that are faster that way. And clitoral stimulation is really, really important.
The clitoral stimulation is necessary for women. If it's not DJ mix, please respect the clitoris. It has 8,000 nerves, so please take it easy. Actually, I will show you guys a real. I do have one. Before I go, I get excited. So I do have.
I have that too. I love it. Mine is pink.
Yeah. So usually you will see just a tip, and maybe if it come up a little bit when it's a rosa, a little bit more. But this is the internal part. So you will see this is usually covered
with the inner labia, right? It's inside, sort of. It's the vulva. So you can't see this part. It's covered by the inner labia, outer labia. It's inside. It's part of the vulva, right? So certainly there is a lot of things you can do to arouse a woman.
A lot of things. Well, I'm going to put my clitoris on the side. And definitely, guys, Eleni, I have to tell you, it was a pleasure to have this conversation. And I'm so sad that it was so short. But definitely, guys, we have Eleni again to talk more about female pleasure, clitoris, or male sex education. We don't know. We see how it goes. Before I go, thank you so much, Eleni. I really appreciate your time and your insight. It's so refreshing and nourishing for me to have this conversation and to have the opportunity to have you here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, MJ. Having conversations like this is so, so, so important.
Amazing. And thank you so much, guys, for watching us. And I see you in the next episode. So don't forget to subscribe.